As Trump scrambles to contain the Epstein scandal, begging allies to spin and even shutting down Congress, one person is noticeably absent: Melania Trump. And it's not just marital distance. A new bombshell report ties her own past to the Epstein mess, and it could drag Trump even deeper. Here's what we've learned. Now, before we can get into this latest report on how Melania's connection to Epstein is damaging Donald Trump, I want to start with an important piece of context that's also a great call-out from Jasmine Crockett. And that's the beginning of Trump and Melania's relationship.
And since we're talking about integrity, I'm confused as to why my Republican colleagues aren't talking about the lack of integrity when it comes to the president's family's visas. Let me remind y'all that Melania, the First Lady, a model, and when I say model, I'm not talking about Tyra Banks, Cindy Crawford, or Naomi Campbell level, applied for and was given an EB-1 visa. And what that stands for is an Einstein Visa. Now, y'all that don't know, let me tell you how you receive an Einstein Visa. You're supposed to have some sort of significant achievement, like being awarded a Nobel Peace Prize or a Pulitzer, being an Olympic medalist, or having other sustained extraordinary abilities and success in sciences, arts, education, business, or athletics. Last time I checked, the First Lady had none of those accolades under her belt. It doesn't take an Einstein to see that the math ain't mathin' here.
Melania Trump is just another example of the deep hypocrisy in Trump's world. His anti-immigrant rants fall flat given her background, and claims about draining the swamp are laughable considering how his entire family, including Jared and Melania, profited from his presidency. But there's more. Epstein once pointed to a key moment between Trump and Melania. And now, one of his victims is shedding new light on it through a story involving one of Trump's ex-wives.
So, Maria, when you talk about the closeness of the relationship, when you were working for Epstein, you say that he was present very regularly. How close were they, as far as you were able to tell?
Well, like Epstein said, he inherited him in the divorce. You know, he said, basically, you're going to see us together all the time. We're fixtures, because in the divorce, I inherited Trump and Ghislaine inherited Ivana. So he said, you're not going to see him at the house the way you see Ivana, and you're not going to see her at the offices the way you see Trump. And, you know, it was just, it was a known thing, like among the staff and everyone, that they were best friends. And Epstein bragged about it. And I gave up 30 years to report this. And it's a very serious thing to fight the government. You know, it's been unbelievable. I've been fighting 2 cancers because of it.
His isn't just about Trump knowing Epstein. It runs much deeper. They were family friends, their partners mingled, and the ties even influenced Trump's previous relationships. Melania, introduced through the modeling world Trump and Epstein both operated in, fits right into that pattern. And now, Trump's own biographer, Michael Wolff, reveals just how close this connection really was and the lie Trump's been hiding. This clip is right here.
You really notice by her absence is that of Melania, that often men caught up in situations like this have a wife who's loyally standing by their side.
Well,
Melania is nowhere to be seen. Ivanka is nowhere to be seen. This must be a horrifying story for them.
okay, well, 2 points. She never is by his side. You know, all of those courtroom appearances, did she show up once? You know, I report in my book that one of the aides approached her and she said, "Nice try," and then laughed. But, and this is probably for further food, you know, she was very involved in this Epstein relationship. I mean, there is this model thing, but, you know, in Epstein talks about, you know, and she's introduced by a model agent, both of whom Trump and Epstein are involved with. She's introduced to Trump that way. Epstein knows her well. The first time, Epstein says, the first time Donald Trump and Melania have sex is on his airplane. So this is another complicated dimension in this. Where does she fit into the Epstein story? Where does she fit into this?
Trump keeps shifting his story, claiming he ended his ties with Epstein after finding out he was a creep. But Epstein's own brother says he cut Trump off, calling him too corrupt. Trump and Melania were clearly part of that world. Photos, shared social circles, even alleged shared girlfriends. Melania seems just as tied to it, which explains why both want it buried. We just got an update on this from Congressman Robert Garcia. This clip is right here.
Well, look, I mean, obviously Donald Trump is out there saying that this letter doesn't exist, that he never wrote this note, that he somehow doesn't do these kinds of drawings or notes. We know that's ridiculous, of course. And so it's important that we get our hands on the actual birthday note, this card that was written. And we know that the Epstein estate has a copy of it. And so we've made that request. It may also be true that that very note is also in the actual Epstein files and documents that the DOJ has. Now, that, of course, has now been subpoenaed. And so we'll get that full set of documents. But if it's not, it's really important that we get the actual original that is with the Epstein estate. And so that's the request that Congressman Khanna and I have made. Obviously, he's a member of the Oversight Committee as well. And it's very important that we get that as we lead up to this deposition of Ghislaine Maxwell.
Sounds like Congressman Comer agrees with you, or at least is prepared to go down this road with you. You don't need a lot of Republican help in order to get this to happen. You need some, because Speaker Mike Johnson has sort of absented himself from this discussion and has taken 200 plus of his members with him.
That's right. I mean, we got 3 Republicans to vote with the 5 Democrats on that subcommittee for the actual subpoena. And of course, they had no idea it was coming. I mean, we planned it out. We thought about it. We'd been planning it for about a week, and we got it done. We knew that they would come over because they had made public comments about releasing the files. And so it was a huge win for the American public and for transparency. And so if the Epstein estate does not send over this book and perhaps other documents we may ask for in the future, there's always that subpoena route. But we were hopeful that they want to work with us. There's been some indication that they do. And so that's where the track that we're on right now.
Congressman, I want you to take a listen to what Ghislaine Maxwell's attorney, David Oscar Marcus, had to say about whether or not she will comply with your subpoena.
Well, Congress has subpoenaed her to testify. We have to make a decision about whether she will do that or not. That's been scheduled for the week of August 11th, and we haven't gotten back to them yet on whether we'll do that.
They have to make a decision. Your response, Congressman?
Well, we've actually been in touch. The Oversight Committee, the Democrats have been in touch with the attorneys, and both sides have. We feel that they are going to actually come forward, and we will have a deposition. I think that's likely. Obviously, what happens at that point is going to be up to them. But this is a bipartisan subpoena and request by the Congress. And so we expect her to do that. And I would hope that her team of lawyers understands that with all this attention that has been placed in her conversations with the DOJ, with essentially Trump's personal attorney, it's very important that she meets and sits down with not just Chairman Comer, but myself and our 2 committees, so that we're able to ask the questions that are necessary to get to the truth, which is also why it is so important that before that deposition or around that deposition, we also receive the full files, documents, and videos that we have now subpoenaed to the Department of Justice. We've got to be able to corroborate that information that she provides with the actual documents.
Congressman, what makes you so confident that you will end up sitting down with Ghislaine Maxwell? What exactly have they said to you that makes you feel this way?
Well, we've had some initial conversations between the legal teams and our folks on the committee, and so we are hopeful. I think she needs to do it. It's very clear this is a very serious situation that she is in, and so look, they're going to make their decisions, and then we will need to escalate if necessary. But she's been subpoenaed in a bipartisan way by the United States Congress, and so it is important that she shows up. They have selected that date and that week of August 11th. We are ready to be there. I am ready to be in Tallahassee on whatever day that they decide to select. And so it's very important that we move that forward. The pressure on this issue, not just on Trump, on her, on the entire case, is growing every single day. Republicans right now are back in their home districts, and they are being bombarded by their constituents about what they are doing to actually get these files and documents released. This is their central campaign issue. And so it's time that Donald Trump stop flip-flopping, stop betraying his base, and actually release the files and get transparency for the American public.
Congressman, it's pretty granular, the stuff that you're dealing with, and it's necessarily so. But let's pull back to about 50,000 feet here. What does success look like to you? If you get the documents you want and you get to talk to Ghislaine Maxwell, what do you think happens?
Look, I think it's important that we always first and foremost center the victims. I mean, we have, as we know, young women, children in some cases that have been horrifically abused, sexually tormented, and those individuals, those teenagers, those children need justice. And so let's really center first and foremost just the horrific crimes that were committed by Epstein, that were enabled and committed as well by Maxwell and so.
We have to keep pushing this scandal, not just as another Trump lie or betrayal, but as the clearest example of what MAGA truly is: exploiting people, then discarding them. Some victims believe Trump might help them, only to see their pain used for his gain. He promised to fight corruption, but only weaponized it for himself and the ultra-rich. That's the truth we'll keep exposing. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. Until next time, I'll see you soon.